call our meeting to order, 1 minute and 12 seconds late. Ask you all to join us in a moment of silence to start. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, if you could call the roll.
Commissioner Asasi?
Here.
Commissioner Perdue?
Here.
Commissioner Belcheck?
Present.
Commissioner Robbins?
Present.
Commissioner Knight?
Present.
Commissioner Kilgore?
Present.
And Mayor LeGrand.
Present. This time I'm actually going to remember, we do have an interpreter here, I hope, and if there she is, if you could say what I just said, that you're available to interpret in Spanish, that'd be great.
Hello, good afternoon. Hola, buenas tardes. Para cualquier persona que necesite servicios de interpretación, vamos a estar teniendo los servicios. Estaré por aquí cerquita en caso de que necesiten, ¿ok? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to public comment on agenda items. So if there's an item on the agenda that you wish to speak to, please come up to the microphone and keep your comments to 3 minutes.
How y'all doing? I'm D. Jones, passionate entrepreneur and visionary. I'm going to be speaking on fiscal committee item 1 with the bonds for the soccer stadium and amphitheater. So I'm a big advocate for digital currency, crypto specifically, and it's something called BID bonds, which actually allows people to bond with cryptocurrency instead of asking our citizens and our patrons for bonds, and we can adopt crypto that gives us free taxes without increasing the taxes of citizens. We can actually have digital bonds without increasing the taxes of citizens by adopting cryptocurrency. I also have a couple little sheets in front of you guys, but I'm just going to pay attention to this second sheet right now because I am the spokesperson for PFT, but we're actually going to be developing ATMs. We're going to be developing ATMs where you can actually utilize crypto, or you could buy PFT, but you could also exchange that for cash. Then I have a funny picture of the 2020 election with Mike Bloomberg, who was a billionaire. I originally had an ATM picture where he had an ATM in front of everybody, and he was just up, just crazy chicken, and everybody was just looking at him. But eventually that's going to be D. Jones, but I ain't going to run for president. I'm just going to be very, 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 very rich, because I'm going to go to the United Nations and expand everything that I'm doing. So I just want to educate my government, because I understand how this digital finance, if it's used actually for the good of citizens and fiscally people do their due diligence, we can have free taxes by adopting cryptocurrency. I know we're not trying to be like Detroit, but we could be like GR, and there are other cities and counties that have adopted this. I believe that this can do public good. We already have our president. A lot of people don't like Donald Trump, but Donald Trump did sign an executive order to create a crypto reserve. There are other countries that are a part of the United Nations that have adopted crypto, that have Bitcoin. Even the federal government, when they had the 100,000s of Bitcoins and it was worth $366 million, if they would actually kept that, yes, and it's going towards the bonds. If they actually would have kept that cryptocurrency, they would have had 17 billion actually now, if they would have never sold it. So I would like my city government to look at this. The CFO, the treasurer, city manager, mayor, city commission, to really think about how we can actually have BID bonds, digital bonds, because there are other people that are actually changing old oil rigs and creating data centers and mining centers so people can actually benefit from this, which is actually aligns with clean energy, green energy, infrastructure, and community solar and things like that. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Moving on, our next item is approval of the minutes. I ask for a motion to approve of minutes from last meeting.
I would move to approve the minutes.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Then that brings us to petitions and communications. Mr. Clerk?
A communication received from Timothy Gloge regarding his resignation from the Grand Rapids Historical Commission.
Referred to committee on appointments.
Communication received from Thomas Wilson regarding his resignation from the Grand Rapids Historical Commission.
Refer to committee on appointments.
Communication received from Sam Moore regarding his resignation from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
Refer to committee on appointments.
Communication received from Lene Wells regarding her resignation from the Grand Valley Metro Council.
Referred to committee on appointments.
Communication received from Charlotte Burns expressing support for the Climate Action Adaptation Plan.
Received and filed.
And communication received from Arthur J. DeCouth III regarding FOIA request number 2025-146.
Received and filed. That brings us to reports from city officers.
First one's the Comptroller's warrant report for the period of February 11, 2025 through February 24, 2025 in the amount of $26,041,909.61 and the monthly travel report.
Received and filed.
And the Treasurer's report for the period of February 11, 2025 through February 25, 2025.
Received and filed. This brings us to our consent agenda. As I will remind the audience, anyone up here has the ability to pull something off if they feel like it needs more discussion, but these are by and large items which have been passed unanimously out of committee. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Hold on one second. I just want to make sure the commission knows the item that we amended is on the consent agenda. The item has been changed. So just everybody's, because we amended the item at Cow.
Right,
So
right.
the way with the amendment is what is being adopted in the consent. Just want to make sure it's clear.
Got it. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Items removed from consent agenda. That's an empty set. Ordinances to be adopted. Mr. Clerk? No ordinances to be adopted, and city commission resolutions.
We're going to go to actually public hearings first.
We'll go to public hearings. Sorry, I'm not looking at my agenda. And ask Mackenzie Miller to come up so we can have our first discussion about the Uptown Business Improvement District Plan.
Sorry about that. Good afternoon, Commissioners, Mr. Mayor. My name is Verona Kamara. I'm with Economic Development, and I will be discussing this. So sorry about that, Mackenzie. All right, so we started the bid renewal process sometime last year. So far, it's been great, and right now, we need to take this hearing to take comments on the newly proposed plan. So let's start with some history. So the Uptown BID started 2013, and ever since we have had a few renewals. Actually, we started with 1-year renewals, and then we moved up, evolved, and we had a 2-year renewal term, and then we moved up to a 3-year term, which we renewed in FY 2022. All 12 years have been really great. We've seen a lot of success in the Uptown BID district. Businesses seem to be very happy with all the beautification efforts that we see up there. One of their biggest programs is the Ambassador Program that helps with the cleaning and in maintenance and wayfinding in the district. They also have a lot of beautification efforts like the trash cans, which are being tipped by the BID. We have landscaping and planters and a lot of events within the district. So for today, what we're requesting is an increase in the bid plan based on the plan that was presented, that we are requesting a 3% annual increase for the 2026 to 2030 plan. And also as part of that request, we would like an amendment to include some unique parcels that were not previously part of the plan. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to take them. But I have Ingrid Miller, who is the Executive Director of Uptown, and she has some few remarks on this plan as well.
Yes, good afternoon. I just wanted to touch base and talk a little bit about our successes. Vera did a great job, talking about the numbers, but just anecdotally, our engagement with our business community as well as our neighbors is at an all-time high. The proposal that you have received is for a 5-year plan. This came from a group exercise, if you will, a board retreat, where we invited not only our bid board, but our CIA and Uptown Grand Rapids, Inc. To participate in together and make this decision that they're comfortable and confident with the services that were provided and feel confident that securing a 5-year bid reauthorization is a good use of our time and of your time because we continue to grow our programs, but at a pace that are appropriate with the amount that we capture. So as you can see, currently our rate is $5.97 a linear foot. That's annually for commercial properties. And we're able to get all of the work done within that amount. So that 3% increase is really to make sure that we're continuing to pay our ambassadors and all of our contractors a living wage, that we can be continue to be competitive with other employers, and keep this amazing staff that we have taking care of our district. So that's all.
I have one question, but I don't think we can answer it today. It occurs to me, and this is something maybe the commission needs to think about, maybe we have to change state law, I don't know. There's a lot of small businesses, when construction happens in front, have a lot of immediate distress because they lose a lot of access to customers. It occurs to me that I suspect bids aren't allowed to accumulate sort of a relief, construction relief fund balance, but that bids might be a really good place to lodge that kind of it's because it's functionally self-insurance. It's sort of like a condo association planning for the roof needing repair. Anytime, I mean, roads don't last forever, and every time a road closes down, all the businesses on that district feel the strain, and some of them know that it was going to happen, and some of them might have opened the week before and not had a clue. So I would love to have a conversation at whatever level we have to have about using bids, using that tool, because I think all the things that bids are doing are great, but I would love to see that as a tool in the toolbox. And I suspect that that's probably not an authorized use of funds, and so we probably have to pursue some kind of either state level or city level modification of that. And Ms. Renero's not here, but I just at least want to throw that out for my colleagues. The other thing I'll say is, like, we're not voting on this today, right?
Correct.
Okay, but for informational purposes, like, I've got skin in the game in this particular bid because I own a building in it. I love it, but I'm going to recuse myself from a vote since that's sort of, it's probably not a conflict of interest, but it's conflict of interest adjacent, right? So, thank you.
On that first comment, we can look at the eligible expenses for bid. I know there can be used for marketing and obviously improvement. I'm not sure if these temporary kind of things can be done, but we can certainly look into it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Commissioner Kilgore.
Yeah, so since the beginning of this year, I've had the pleasure of serving on this Uptown CIA and the bid. And I just want, Ingrid, if you could please let folks know of how you all landed on the 3% increase. If I remember correctly, there was conversation to go higher, but it's just giving some more of how we ended up upon this, the increase.
Yes. So we have really great representation on that board of commercial property owners and local developers. 3% is consistent with what they have planned for their operating costs when they are planning out their budgets. And so not only was this going to be an expected amount that a lot of commercial property owners could anticipate, it was also consistent with what the projected inflation rate would be. We did have a discussion about tying it to that and the inflation rate, but just for ease of administration, we decided just to pick a solid 3% for the full 5 years.
Great, thanks. Commissioner Perdue.
Mayor, to your point around, I think the relief idea is interesting, particularly given some of the challenge that we saw last year. But do want to point out that when it was construction season last year, Uptown did a really great initiative of saying we're open for business, putting up signage to help people at least kind of wayfind and get to the businesses who were open to what I think you can maybe speak to the outcomes, but really helped ensure there was continued business during that construction season.
That's correct. So we used the Corridor Improvement Authority funds to fund that marketing campaign. We could use bid, but like I said, we pretty much plan to spend all of our bid capture currently, and that does go towards maintenance. So to speak to an additional fund, we would have to think about considerably raising
Of
this
course.
assessment. And we were able to accomplish that with our Quarter Improvement Authority funding. If there's a relief type of funding, then we don't feel comfortable, and legislation would prohibit us from giving money to a private business for things unseen by the public or unenjoyed. So that would get a little sticky there. But we have heard from our businesses that any help would be extremely appreciated, that those road projects, the long term is great. We love seeing the beautiful outcome, but it does disrupt their business while it's happening.
Thanks. Anyone else? Great, thank you so much. Anyone from the public wish to comment? All right, we'll move on to our second public hearing then, and that is to consider bond issuance for the Colorado Health Facilities Authority.
Good afternoon. I'm not sure if, I don't believe there's a slide on this one, so I might just leave that up there. So again, this is a public hearing to consider a proposal for the Colorado Health Facilities Authority to issue bonds in one or more series in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $180 million. The proceeds of the bonds will be loaned to Covenant Living Communities and Services to finance, reimburse, or refinance projects located in the states of California, Colorado, Florida, Illinois, and Michigan. Up to $38,500,000 of the proceeds of the bonds will be used for two things. One being to pay or reimburse Covenant for the cost of constructing, renovating, remodeling, and/or equipping certain facilities that are owned and/or operated by Covenant. And then the second would be to pay the allocable portion of the expenses incurred in connection with the issuance of these bonds. Finally, this public hearing does not impose any liability, financial or otherwise, on the city or in any way involve the city in the issuance of the bonds, but is an accommodation by the city to satisfy the requirements for the issuance of these bonds by the authority. Jessica Wood, who is bond counsel for the City of Grand Rapids, and Dave McEwen, the executive director of Covenant Living of the Great Lakes, are here to answer any questions that you guys might have. Thank you.
This is one of those odd situations where we have to technically give permission, but it's got nothing to do with city fiscal, correct? Not seeing any questions from our dais here, and not seeing anyone from the public who wants to comment, so.
Oh, you do.
Oh, we do.
Hello, I'm new in town, Chester Falkowski. I'm new in town. This is the first I've heard of this, but right now my brain hurts trying to understand why there would be a bond issue to finance projects around the country and not exclusively in Grand Rapids or exclusively Kent County or exclusively the state of Michigan. Thank you.
Thanks. That moves us to city commission resolutions.
So you can take one motion to suspend the rules for the
Right.
next three resolutions.
Okay, yeah, I'd like a motion to suspend the rules for the next three resolutions then.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Robbins, if you can talk about our first,
Can we read them in first?
Sure.
It helps our staff
Yes.
that are doing the minutes to
Go ahead.
know what we're talking about. Resolution to approve a bond issuance for the Colorado Health Facilities Authority, which will generate proceeds for projects throughout the United States, including a project located at 2510 Lake Michigan Drive Northwest in Grand Rapids.
Commissioner Robbins?
So moved.
Sorry.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just this is a follow-up item pertaining directly to that public comment that we just had. I thought I'd add one more snippet from the memo that was helpful. It just says specifically Section 147F of the City Code provides that the bonds cannot be qualified 501c3 bonds unless, among other requirements, the local government unit having jurisdiction over the area in which the facilities financed with net proceeds of the bonds is located to approve the issue. So that's why it's before us. As you mentioned too, this isn't impacting the city of Grand Rapids fiscally. It's just more of a formality that has to be approved by the local jurisdiction. So
Right.
I don't know if there's city manager, if there's anything else you want to add.
Thank you, Commissioner, and that we're not the only city giving local jurisdiction. I believe Santa Barbara, California, and another city in Florida has already given their approval, and these are places where some of the work is being our covenant and work is being financed as well.
And this is 501c3 entity, which is why they have to get local approval, correct? Thank you. Looking for we have a motion and we have support. All in favor of the resolution to approve, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next, Mr. Clerk.
Resolution authorizing entry of settlement agreement and partial settlement of the national prescription opiate litigation.
Commissioner Yasasi, if you can.
Need a motion,
Sorry.
So moved.
Or
Eventually, I'm going to get the rhythm of that. Commissioner Yasasi, if you could
Yes.
demystify this.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. This item pertains to a variety of opioid settlements that we have been a part of. This is with Costco Corporation. This is a smaller lawsuit in comparison to other companies that we have been involved with. But essentially, we filed the lawsuit in United States District Court regarding the opioid epidemic. It was transferred to the United States District Court in the Northern District of Ohio. And just also important to note that very few, probably less than 100 of the 4,000 local governments that brought lawsuits included claims against Costco because of that small national and local market. So this is just moving forward with a small one-time payment with Costco in exchange for the dismissal of our claims asserted against them regarding the opioid epidemic. Thank you.
So essentially, money into the city coffers. Any further discussion? We had a motion, we had approval. All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. And finally, that brings us to our final resolution.
A city commission resolution authorization or approving settlement in the Bradley Boucher risk management claim number 25R0097.
So
Got a
moved.
motion?
Support.
Thank you. Commissioner Perdue.
Yes, thank you. On March 11th, today, this matter was presented to the City Commission in executive session. Settlement of Mr. Boucher's claim was recommended in the amount of $47,996.00. This amount includes any and all claims arising from the November 2024 incident described in this claim and supporting documentation. So that's a little bit of background, and that's the settlement amount that the City Commission is considering.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. And that brings us to public comments on anything.
Thank you very much. So much paper.
Chet Falkowski, and I'm here to speak about public transit, focusing on the lack of customer service, common courtesy, and a general lack of responsibility. I am legally blind, 73 years of age, and I've been in Grand Rapids a little less than a year. It took some time to get approval to utilize the Go Bus and RideLink, and then it took some time to get comfortable enough to access the service. So I have taken less than 25 one-way trips in total. Well, it must be said that the public transit system has some wonderful employees. In accessing public transit, the number of issues I have encountered are of such magnitude in comparison to the number of trips taken, I feel it necessary to make it known to the City Commission. My concerns have made their way to Jason Prescott, the Rapids Director of Paratransit, ADA, and Mobility Services. Jason has contacted me via email regarding my concerns, but so far the interaction has been disappointing. In an email, Jason stated, quote, "If a majority of your struggles with my department are on Saturday or Sunday, I would advise calling during the week," close quote. That is unfortunate because last Sunday was the only time I have ever called to make reservations on a Saturday or Sunday. And if you advertise that reservations can be made at that time, it is the responsibility of the transit system to ensure that riders are able to do so. It is not the responsibility of vulnerable riders to accept poor service and condescending attitudes. Jason also implied that I should make my reservations earlier, but I have always made reservations in accordance with the instructions issued by the transit service. In both of Jason's statements, the tone lacks any semblance of courtesy or concern for a senior disabled rider experiencing difficulties. I have requested a meeting with Jason Prescott to discuss these transit issues, but Jason has not made any comments regarding meeting with me in any of his emails. Additionally, I tried to make contact with leadership at RideLink after some excruciatingly bad experiences, but the person I was transferred to did not return my call, even though I was assured that while she was not in the office at that time, she always returns calls, except this time. It is my hope that an honest effort will be made to improve a very necessary service, one that focuses on vulnerable riders, providing safe and courteous service, and a sincere concern for the well-being of the riders. Thank you.
Thank you.
How y'all doing? I'm D. Jones again, passionate entrepreneur, future billionaire, global visionary. So this first sheet that I gave you guys in this printed out, I spoke at the conference at GRCC that the city sponsored. Had the largest classroom of black African Americans in there. It was so full. You see every seat was full at GRCC, and it was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing, sorry. But you guys see the first one, and then as you guys know, I spoke about the ATMs and cryptocurrency and being able to exchange the digital currency in the games and stuff like that. And for cash. And then, you know, the funny joke with the politics and stuff like that. So I flew to Dubai a couple years during 2020, I believe. It was 2020 or 2021. I was at a 5-star hotel in Dubai, and one of the Rothschilds was in the room. Somebody stepped up to D. Jones and said, hey, one of the Rothschilds are there, the people that own the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve is not ran by the federal government. It's a privately owned business ran by the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. The federal government is a business, and the United States is a business. It's not a country. So I'm just get that out there. And then you guys see this cool other individual sheet that I have. Sorry, I keep putting the stuff up, but that's the pictures of my social impact work, me getting in the hood. You see Consumers Energy educating people on green energy and electric vehicles. There are people in the hood really paying attention and getting the education that you guys would never, ever be able to connect with these kind of people in the hood, in the trenches, being able to get this kind of education that's vitally needed. And then you see 6 electric vehicles. They love that you can actually pop the front of the, car and the electric vehicles and stuff like that, because usually you can do that with Ferraris and the luxury exotic cars. I am Haitian, I am a Frenchie, so I know I'm an exotic human being and I'm a beautiful soul, and I believe in the things you put out to the universe comes back. Like today, I was on Facebook and I looked at the stuff that I posted a year ago. Sorry, I keep putting this up. But I was on the front of the GR Business Journal before they turned it to Cranes for bringing esports to our city, and now it's actually a reality. So as I put this out to the universe, because I'm not a religious person, I believe that you create the reality with your actions, beliefs, and the things that, and energy and love that you put into things, into this beautiful universe that we live on. And so I'm going to keep being genuine. I love everything that you guys do. I don't have any negative things to say about anybody on city council. I love all of you. I believe that you guys all care about the city, about the county, about the state of Michigan. And we all would love to be able to have the best of the best opportunities and the best of the best quality services for our citizens across the nation if we could provide it here and be the best city that we can be. And I'm going to continuously do that. I just put that out to the universe, and I know that's going to come back. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm here to draw attention to the Stretcher Road, Lakeside Drive Northeast, in between Michigan and Fulton. I recently bought a home there about
Give us your name and city, please.
Yeah, my name's Thomas Finelli. I'm a resident on Lakeside Drive. I purchased a home there 3 years ago, and in between that stretch, between Michigan and Fulton, Lakeside Drive Northeast. Thousands of potholes. It is one of the worst streets I've seen in the city. I've called multiple times a year for the past 3 years, and they've refused to fix the road. I drive a motorcycle. It's becoming increasingly dangerous to drive on there. I recently bought a new vehicle, and it's already damaged my vehicle in the process. I encourage you to check it out. Please have the road commission look at it. I think it needs to be replaced completely. Our governor said she was going to fix the damn roads, and I think this is one that needs special attention. So please look into this and get it repaired this spring. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Nathan Biller, and I am a small infill developer building housing in the city. 2 quick reminders. Our housing assessment shows a need of 7.7 new units per day to meet the GR demand, but we average only 1.1, which means that every day our housing gap grows on average by 6 units, pushing rents higher. Second, we know that the average household size in Grand Rapids has shrunk over the last few decades. I'd like to build smaller units to satisfy this demand. However, developers only build what this commission makes legal for us to build. You might be thinking you are allowed to build a small house, but in today's environment, a single small house on a one lot cannot be built without a subsidy. You might remind me that the commission of last year permitted up to 6 units by right on link residential and network residential streets. While true, that commission overlooked density requirements that require 2,000 square feet of lot area per unit. Since most of our lots are around 5,000 square feet, this effectively limits density to 2 units per lot, even on those that you've allowed 6. If your intent in changing that ordinance was to see newly built sixplexes, we require a few more tweaks to make this feasible. For instance, on a network residential street in the 3rd Ward, instead of building a 6-unit, I'm planning a duplex with 4 bedrooms per side. This results in high rent price per unit, but is compliant with our zoning ordinance and meets the green space and setback limitations that make it illegal to build on 55% of the lot. I believe the neighborhood would prefer to see smaller 2-bedroom units and don't see much difference between 2 4-bedroom units and 4 2-bedroom units, except that the first is legal and the second, more affordable option, creating twice as many units, is illegal. As a developer, I spend a considerable amount of time attempting to wrangle our zoning ordinance and suggest 4 common sense tweaks to move us forward. Number 1, eliminate the minimum lot area requirement. 2, reduce setbacks. 3, remove green space requirements. And 4, increase the permitted story height from 2.5 stories to 3.5. In essence, please stop making it illegal for me to build the type of housing the public wants and desperately needs. My request is for Mr. Washington, or his proxy in this case since he left, to add a discussion around this topic to your next agenda for the Commission to consider requesting the Planning Commission to make these specific zoning text amendments. I've even prepared a draft agenda action item for your review and initials if you agree. I've also drafted proposed red line amendments and written a detailed blog post explaining the rationale behind these changes, which I'll provide to the city clerk. These are the simplest, most impactful tweaks that we can make to improve our housing supply right now. If Mr. Washington remains unconvinced, a majority vote by this commission could force this discussion onto the agenda. I hope you agree that this is a conversation worth having, even if you may not happen to agree with every proposal, since each of you represents constituents who would prefer affordable housing that's currently illegal to build. It takes just one pragmatic city manager or 4 courageous commissioners to initiate this discussion at your very next meeting. Governor Whitmer's State of the State mentioned that Michigan is 140,000 homes short, and our strategy is to build, baby, build. Would you please consider making it legal for me to help do my part? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll distribute to others. Yep.
Hello, friends. Mark from Grand Rapids. The chaos continues. You had this individual, the orange convicted felon, lie during his speech last Tuesday. But even more disgusting was it was a 13-year-old from Texas who's battling brain cancer. While at the same time, he is going to try to eliminate funding for pediatric cancer research. That is unbelievable. This is why most of you people who voted for him, you got what you deserve. And he's allowing an unelected billionaire, child of apartheid, to cut everything under the sun. So as billionaires can have more money than the law allows. And so why him and his billionaire buddies are down there in Mar-a-Lago or wherever they at, enjoying breakfast with orange marmalade, apple blossoms, toast, and tea. The American people are suffering. This is why we, the American people who are not billionaires, who do not have mansions and yachts, has to get up and challenge the elitists, because they are the ones who are committing waste and fraud in this country. And if you don't do anything now, it's going to be even worse. So trust me on that one. Boycott Tesla.
Hello, I'm Tyler Johnson. I live in Walker, actually, but I do own rental properties in Grand Rapids. Just to echo on what Nate said one person before me, I am looking to do developments in the city of Grand Rapids, aspiring to do so, and unfortunately the rules and regulations are very prohibitive, pretty much exactly what Nate said. A lot of these older buildings that look like they could be repurposed or redeveloped, you look into the zoning and the rules and you find out it's not going to work. And you guys want more housing, but then these rules are kind of counterintuitive. For instance, there's a property that I was looking at, 708 11th, and it's a 4-unit. I think actually it's a 5-unit, and then next door has a parking lot of equal size or larger than what the building sits on. Yet when you look at the rules and regulations regarding that parcel and the setbacks and the green space, I mean, you really can't build anything that makes any sense there, I mean, if anything at all. So you've got these parking lots that are in neighborhoods where crime can happen. I mean, there's really no good for a parking lot that's, not fenced and not lit up in the middle of a residential neighborhood by a church. I mean, that's just asking for, activity, illegal activity. So I mean, I'm sure the neighborhood would like to see a brand new building in that area. I mean, there's houses around there that are not so nice. So, as a additional benefit to changing these rules, you can see more investment into the city and more nicer properties, hopefully bringing a nicer class of tenants, and just everything gets better from there, I think. So that's my 2 cents on the zoning for developments. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving along, I would now like to move us to comments from commissioners. So, Commissioner Kilgore, you look excited.
So thanks everyone for coming to these ones are always odd. I'm happy that we did have some public comment, and I would just refer the folks who talked about really a uniting concern that all of us on the commission have, which is housing and affordable housing. We had a really good discussion earlier, so if you check out our committee of the whole earlier, we had a pretty robust conversation about ordinances that can be adopted and have been adopted on making it easier to build here. So that's perfect. I would echo the concerns with that, but I think, don't want to speak for my colleagues, but it seems to be a unifying concern. And affordable housing for myself is truly something that I want to see be made even more possible here in our city. And that's one of the concerns that we discussed at my listening tour on February 28th at the Main Attractions Salon. We had a wonderful experience of just listening, and I am excited to announce the second stop of that next month. And so be on the lookout for that. If you follow me on any social media or my website, we'll stay posted on that so we can have different avenues than just a random 2 p.m. on a Tuesday to share your concerns. We talked about criminal justice, the environment, and housing was a huge concern. So thank you all for being here. It's been a long morning, but we are really working together to find solutions to these concerns. So we hear you and we're working on it.
Commissioner Knight?
Thank you, everybody, for showing up today and for the presentations that we had that went on forever. So glad that we had them, though. We need the information. For the gentleman that we're speaking about, the housing, there was a lot of conversation that went on. Actually, most of the day. I think a couple of our presentations were kind of overlapping in that space, and it might be good to have some of those conversations with the people in those departments to think about what our zoning looks like. I think a lot of what you said was kind of floating around up here on the dais, and so those are ideas and thoughts that are on the top of mind. And also for the other gentleman that was here, even though we don't control what the Rapid does, customer service is what we should do at all times. And so I'm hoping that there can be some resolution for him and that somebody may have been listening. If not, we can reach out because we want to make sure that we're providing safe spaces for people and that this community is a place that people love and can move around and do the things that they need to, regardless of their abilities or lack thereof. And that's probably all I have for today.
Commissioner Robbins.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I too appreciated the comments on zoning. I think it was very timely given implementation of the community master plan. Like my colleagues mentioned, we did touch on a few specifics with zoning this morning too. So I highly encourage anyone interested in that theme to go check those out. I think for me, zoning there's not many things in the arena of housing that the city has unilateral control over, but zoning is one of those things. And so I think as long as we can use that tool to get to yes and find common sense ways to remove barriers to increase our housing supply in the city, that's a table that I'll always meet at for a discussion. And then just wanted to mention two other things too at our economic development project team meeting. We had a couple quick briefings on a permit-ready plan program for people who would like to do some sort of development, whether it's a single-family home, duplex, quadplex. The city staff have been working hard to get some options in front of people that are free as far as designs go, so that just removes some time, planning leading up to a development, helps reduce costs because you don't have to pay to have all that kind of stuff done too. So between that, the emerging developer training program that they're putting on, and then just some other high-level economic development tools that they touched on. I think it's some really good information. I think it's small things like that don't always get publicized, but are going to make a huge impact on the housing issue that we're facing. So I just want to make sure those got called out and share my appreciation with the staff that are working on them.
Thanks. Commissioner Sassi.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for the presentations today. I know there was a number of them. They were good reminders of the work that we do, that it often, in government, when we are working with tax dollars, the things don't happen overnight. There are hearings and review, and so I think Mr. Colson put it really into perspective, kind of what's in front of us as we look at our community master plan and the implementation pieces. I wanted to highlight just a few other things. One, first, I wanted to say thank you. I see that there are board members. I know you serve on the body as well. Commissioner Kilgore, but from Uptown, thank you all for coming. Glad that it's in that, the second ward in Uptown overlap. It's like a cool place to be. I do agree with your comments, Commissioner Perdue, about those activities to really get people out to hopefully come and engage in our business districts. We also know it's a really challenging time for individuals and, spending their precious dollars. And so reminding them about the impact that local shopping and engagement can have. And I know there's a lot of things, like whether it's like going out on a Friday night and getting people excited, or just being able to support individuals online. So thank you for all your work, and other board members that are here. I wanted to highlight that last week, Commissioner Knight and Commissioner Belcheck, and I don't know if any other commissioners were there, but we were at the ICCF dinner this past week, and it was a really good event. I think it was their 51st anniversary, highlighting a number of things. I think from a historical perspective, you see organizations and you're kind of like they've been here forever. Like my dad served on the board in the past, but I wanted to highlight one of the individuals that was featured as a award winner, so to speak, Pastor Artie Lindsay from Tabernacle Community Church. At the last meeting, I think it was Messiah that was highlighted regarding their housing project. And so Tabernacle is another one of those churches that has said, okay, we've purchased this property. Part of the property, there's a whole long story. Go and watch the video. Part of the property was kind of in a disarray. It didn't look very good. And then they were able to work with ICCF to now then create the Seymour. And so I know Artie from a lot of different places, and I kind of I know this story, but not all of it. So I just wanted to highlight that work and appreciation for Pastor Lindsay and their church for trying to see what they can do in terms of their own mission in church, but also recognizing the needs in the city. And then I want to remind everybody that this week, Thursday, is the Cesare Chavez March, an annual march that is happening on the corridor on Cesare Chavez. And I see Commissioner, I was going to call you Pastor Womack. Ooh, I just gave you a whole new title. What was I thinking? But Commissioner Womack, in the past, we've worked together with others, Lupe Ramos and others, to get that renaming MLK and Cesar Chavez. So it's a great event on Thursday. The weather looks good, and invite everybody to come out and join. Thank you.
Thanks. Commissioner Perdue.
No comments today, thank you.
Commissioner Belcheck.
Well, thank you, commissioners, colleagues, public, for being here in the community. I feel very privileged to be able to tee off of what Commissioner Usazi was saying. I actually brought with me a brick from the Seymour project they were giving out at the tables there at ICCF as an example of what is happening in our community. And I feel privileged to take this because I'm pretty sure my eldest, who's 20 now, actually took a ballet class there one summer in this very building that's now going to be turned into housing. And in talking with some of the staff, they've actually planned the architecture and structure of that building so that it is capable of housing or handling solar power on that roof as well, which is a very important aspect. So this is my symbol of progress. And I would like to envision each and every one of us. We have bricks that we can bring to the table to lay down the foundation of a strong future here in Grand Rapids. And we are having those conversations, as you heard my colleagues say, in our zoning. That is a major part of building putting into implementation our community master plan and all the other places. If you didn't get a chance to be a part of our committee on the whole, go back and watch it, because our staff did a fantastic job showing visually how all the different things and plans meet in different little actions and things we're going to do. So thank you, Ms. Turkelson, for your staff's work on that. And it is construction season, so we do each get to be a part of the community in lots of different ways. And I have heard that we are going to have triple the amount of construction this year. So I would like to just invite all of us to brace ourselves, take a deep breath, and enjoy the fact that we are changing and growing as a city. I attended the Leonard Street construction project, pre-construction communication with the community. And if you haven't connected, if you've got just at the community Development Committee this morning, we also approved more street constructions going on. So take a look, check out our city website, check out our meetings, because there are public places to find out what's going on. And I don't think any one of us want any more businesses or residents being surprised by what's going on, but we are going to be surprised because roads are going to be turned into one way for a part of the summer, and then the other one way on Leonard Street from Tamarack to Power. So be prepared. And along those lines, I also attended the pre-construction community leader meeting for the Amway Stadium. So we are looking at innovative, creative, and community-based ways to reach out to folks, because we're going to have a lot of road shutdowns and things around that area starting anytime, pretty much. You can expect demolition to start soon. And while it's exciting, we also want to get used to the idea that maybe our access to some of our highway exits are going to be not as free, so plan your routes. I guess that's my public service announcement. And so to engage better and build your bricks, bring your bricks, hopefully not in the negative way, but in the building way. Your metaphorical brick. We have Commissioner Night Out on March 25th, where we will be talking about some zoning and other things, but it's a great way to get in touch with everyone. And we also have our single hauler survey going on right now, and I know there's a Lincoln Park survey, so get your feedback in, because we can't do this without you guys. We are all GR.
Thanks for the segue on Commission Night Out. So if you come here on the 25th at 7 o'clock p.m., the doors will be locked. So please come out to the First Ward to Union High School. Doors will open about 5 o'clock p.m. Food will be served, and then we'll have an engagement on all those wonderful construction projects. You get to see firsthand from the team that's working with road construction, and then have the table talk on that as well. And the commission meeting will start at 7 o'clock. So that's Commission Night Out, March 25th at Union High School. Continuing on the theme of ICCF, we're going to have a precinct at one of the redesigned buildings at Emerald Flats. We're going to have a precinct in the gym there of the old Eastern School. So that's going to be good as we're reinvigorating these projects. And also we're working with Amplified GR to have a precinct maybe at the hub too. So these new buildings, as old buildings become new again, and as new buildings are new, that we're going to have this working together. And then also, today is March 11. It is 311 day. So I'm going to give a shout out to the 311 department today. I don't see Angela in here. So to Miss Angela Dorr and her team, not often do we have a day fall on 311. So I'm very thankful for everything that 311 does to support all of us up here and around the city, for them answering the questions that are there, and also getting the important information out to the community. So thanks to Angela and her team. They're just a vital, important part of this city. So happy 311 day.
City Attorney.
To the designated survivor. Ms. Behrens and Mr. Washington both aren't feeling well, so you get me up here. Just a couple of things in response, actually, to a couple of things that you brought up, Commissioner Belcheck. One, speaking of Seymour and being built solar ready, we do have a potential award of about $3.2 million coming through a consortium that we applied for through Solar for All. At this time, they're still remaining optimistic that that money will arrive and that we will be able to do something with it. And given that it wasn't the full amount that we originally asked for, we actually redirected it towards helping projects like that put the solar on multifamily affordable complexes. So we're going to remain hopeful until the federal government tells us to no longer remain hopeful. The other, because I know a lot of you probably received emails about it, just wanted to mention that, yes, we did push out some information via Facebook, some links to be able to respond to some surveys in regard to the idea of single hauler. We are taking that feedback digesting it, and we're going to be making some changes to the approach. In reflection, probably jumped out a little too far ahead without doing as much pre-work as we would have liked to, but I did want to let you know here and let the public know that we acknowledge that. It is not the end of the process. This is the beginning of the process, and the intent was to get information that could help inform deeper, more direct engagement as we move through the consideration process.
Is that survey still open?
It is. It is. We're making some modifications so that we can improve it, but yes.
Thanks.
Great. Well, that gets us out of here before 3:11. Adjourned.